Greetings. Thanks for tuning
Hello.
in. We're so excited to have you all here. And joining us today is Dr. Rosalind Moore Miller, who is going to tell us a little bit about what involvement is going to look like this fall for students, and some of those key experiences that you've likely either heard about or your student has participated in the past if you're a continuing family. And so welcome, Roz. We're so glad that you agreed to do this. And we look forward to hearing a little bit more about fall from the student engagement side of things. So if you wouldn't mind getting us started by sharing a little bit about, we've talked a lot during parent and family orientation, and current students know about WOW, our Weeks of Welcome, and Weeks of Welcome this year will be August 3rd through the 27th, correct? Yeah,
Absolutely
so
correct.
not just 1 week, but multiple. And so if you wouldn't mind walking us through what WOW is going to look like this fall.
Absolutely. Kim, thank you so much for having me. And parents and guardians, I'm really excited about this opportunity to really talk to you about engagement. Engagement is still hugely important to us and something that we think really is critical to your students' experience when they come to UA and getting the most out of their time here with us. And so in similar fashion to previous years, we will kick off this year with our Weeks of Welcome. Weeks of Welcome has actually not a new thing. We've had Weeks of Welcome before and have really focused on providing a really seamless experience throughout a really long, throughout the entire time that our students kind of start their journey here and through that first month. And so we will do nothing different this year. And just to kind of talk a little bit about Weeks of Welcome and what that typically looks like, is something that I'd love to share right now. And essentially, we use Weeks of Welcome as a way to introduce students to concepts, to opportunities, to experiences that help kind of give them perspective about what they can get connected to while they're at UA, what things can enhance their academic experiences, and also to connect. We think it's very important for students to both connect to their peers, to our faculty and staff and resources that are here, and to the community. And so this year, despite kind of some differences that will happen in terms of how Week of Welcome will look, we still have those same mission and goals in sight in terms of what students will get out of that. And so if you take nothing from these moments that Kim and I talked to you today about engagement, if you take nothing from it, the biggest takeaway I want you to have is to think about the fact that this is still wholly important to their experience. And we need to make sure that our students continue to engage in the ways that we're able to do that this semester, both in safe manners and also for the benefit of their overall experience. And so with the Weeks of Welcome, some of the things that you can expect, we will kick off the week on the 3rd with kind of an introduction that students will receive. Intro video that kind of highlights some of the opportunities that will be available, and kind of talking and hearing from some of our students who are actively engaged on campus and why it's important for students to connect to Week of Welcome. And then the weeks will be filled with a variety of events that vary in both kind of being virtual structures, maybe some smaller hybrid structures. We have a lot of students that are coming in early for early experiences, and so there may be some structures that lend themselves to seeing them more in person on some things. But for the primary week, it'll be kind of a challenge by choice experience for students as well. So they can pack on as many or as little things that they want, but our biggest goal is to make sure that they do engage in some things. And so one of the ways that we are going to do that is through kind of highlighting some engagement areas. And so I want to talk you all through those. There are several key engagement areas that will be linked to each of our events or programs that we host during Week of Welcome this year. And the first is academic success. And so we will host programs, we will host resources, we will do activities that focus around students kind of fostering an understanding of the resources that are available to them academically and getting connected to our academic kind of side of the house and helping to help them understand that transition and be prepared for those first weeks of class. So that's one of the areas. The second is community and connection. And that's really more looking at how students get involved, how they connect to the campus, what are the ways that they can get connected. So that's kind of giving them a highlight of our student organizations, leadership opportunities that we have available on campus, all of those different things. And then diversity, equity, and inclusion is the third kind of engagement area. Diversity, equity, and inclusion in this perspective is primarily providing them opportunities to both listen, learn, and connect with identity-based groups on campus. And so that's really to help empower them to build and help us continue to build a diverse and inclusive campus and help them understand what our campus looks like, how our campus is made up, what ways that they can connect to our identity-based groups. And then our fourth item is health and wellness. Health and wellness is simply that, just kind of looking at how to balance. It's really important for us to help students understand that this is a journey of both physical and mental engagement as individuals. And so understanding how to kind of balance and connect and find resources to help them both mentally and physically while they're here is super important and something that we want to make sure is highlighted. They get the opportunity to see some of those things through other engagements that happen before they get to campus, like Alpha Point and those things that they have to go through. But these are more so activities that are fun, that are engaging, that are things that they may be interested in. It could be yoga on the quad. It could be just kind of hearing from our rec and facilities folks, our UREC folks about the different facilities that they have available that students can connect with and what things will be available for them to do in those facilities this fall. And so just kind of that well-rounded perspective of mind and body. And the last two, which are also really important to this whole experience, are self-exploration. We see self-exploration as more so really helping students connect with their personal interests. One of the taglines that we use a lot in our student involvement world is there's no one way to connect at UA, and so there's no one way to be involved. And so we know that each of our students comes with a different set of interests, different perspectives, different things that they might want to develop both personally and professionally. And so that self-exploration category is really going to focus on events that might help them step outside of their comfort zone or box and do something personal or really hone in on a personal skill that they want to develop. And then the final area is obviously also wholly important is transition to UA in Tuscaloosa. We know that our students are coming from different parts of the country. They're coming with different experiences with the state of Alabama and especially Tuscaloosa. And so we want to be sure that they realize that they're not just joining a UA community, but they're joining a connected community, which is our Tuscaloosa community. And that's also a huge part of their transition. You know, when they go out to Target to pick up those essential items, they're not going to be on our campus. They're going to be out in our community. And we want them to understand what's available in the community and also be able to connect with that through weeks of welcome. And so with those 6 areas, it's a lot. It's definitely a lot, but it's also the things that we know have helped our students be most successful in their time here at UA. And so we're going to focus a lot of our energy on making sure that when they do engage with us, whether they be online programs or on their own experiences or small in-person things, that they are hitting each and every one of these kind of engagement areas. We want to make sure that, you know, like the old, you know, food pyramid, that they're getting something from each of those categories, that they're really coming to us with kind of a holistic understanding of the 6 things that we think are the most important in their experience and making sure that they build on those. I know you want to know a little bit about the schedule itself. And so, Kim, is it okay if I talk some more about just kind of dates or highlight some events that would
Yeah.
kind of fit those categories that would be most important?
That'd be great. I do want to put a plug in to, you mentioned wellness as one of those areas, engagement
Right.
areas. Just as a reminder, we also have a wellness webinar in this series. And so talking about how the university will be delivering some of those wellness components and supportive wellness of your students' wellness throughout the fall. So I don't want viewers to miss out on that opportunity as well. But yes, we would love to hear some highlights and dates that folks can mark down on their calendars to send little reminders to their students to say, hey, don't forget to do this today.
Awesome. That sounds great. To start, one of the things that I wanted to highlight is knowing that some of our students will be coming to campus early for early move-in, just to connect with other early experiences. We will start the week of welcome experience with a lot of kind of virtual activities. And so some of those are that we will include in that experience are an acoustic karaoke night. We have a bingo night, playlist bingo night that focuses on kind of students and their music type, music styles that they're interested in, and kind of playing virtually with a group of lots of other students that will be connecting with that. And so just some kind of free time activities that kind of help. They're looking for something to do that evening. Maybe they don't want to go out into town. Maybe there's not anything particularly available that they're interested in that evening. And so there'll be lots of kind of activities like that sprinkled throughout that first week that kind of just help them connect. And even for our students that aren't here yet, that's a great first way to connect with the class of students that are coming in with them, because those can also be done from home, and a lot of them have unlimited kind of access. There's no cutoff to how many students we can engage in some of those early activities. And so it'd be a great way for them to come on, meet our UP student teams who will moderate each of the virtual experiences and kind of welcome folks to the experience and room and answer questions. And so it's kind of a great way also for our students to see our current students that are already here on campus and working with us, kind of how they interact with us and things that they've gotten connected with while they're here. And they will help kind of facilitate that experience to help make it both while it's virtual, helping make it kind of streamlining that experience so that they're able to connect as well. Because that's something that we wanted to make sure was happening with our programming, even when we move to those virtual formats, kind of making sure that there's still opportunities to connect with other students. And so we've been very intentional about the activities that we've selected so that there are those opportunities, and so that students feel like this is a chance to have some of those same fun experiences that we would traditionally have in person during weeks of welcome, but in this virtual format. So those first 2 weeks, they're going to be kind of jam-packed with lots of different activities like that. Moving into our
Can I pause you just one
no,
second?
go for it. Go for it.
So I am all about collecting silver linings in this time. I'm trying to find them where I can,
Absolutely.
because in times of lots of change, that's what I look for. And so one of those silver linings for sure is the fact that students don't have to wait to move in or move back to town in order to start their week of welcome experience.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
not something that we can usually say. Usually students, you have to wait until you get here to start having the fun, but that's a great tip for families
Right.
to encourage their students to go ahead and start getting, start being aware of what those opportunities are, start taking advantage of those opportunities even before they arrive in Tuscaloosa, which is amazing. And then the second silver lining that I just picked out was, what a great leadership opportunity for returning students to be in the facilitating role. That again, we oftentimes have students who are planning these events and planning weeks of welcome, but this really puts them in a connecting role where they're able to not only connect with incoming students and current students, but also connect them with one another, which takes a totally different set of skills
Right.
leadership skills,
Right.
allows them to develop a totally different set of leadership skills than what planning an event might build. So
Right. Because
I love that. That's great.
yeah, because a lot of times they're much more behind the scenes, and this gives them an opportunity to even connect and hopefully kind of mentor students through this journey in a way that may be different from what we've had in the past. And we're super excited about those opportunities. And so that's definitely something we wanted to continue to emphasize, is that Week of Welcome for us is really about fun. It's about information. It's about preparing students for those next steps. And we wanted to, as we looked at how we would form Week of Welcome and all the activities this year, we had to keep those three things at the core of that experience for students. And so I think we struck a good balance between the two. And so essentially from about the 4th through the 15th, 16th, you'll see a variety of kind of pop-up activities like that. They'll also be available to them via our website. We will have a website that fully kind of lists how to connect with those different activities. There are some activities within kind of our offering have set numbers. Those will be strongly communicated to students, and we'll have a sign-up process for that. But for the most part, a lot of these activities are really any and all who want to join and can participate can. And that was intentional as well. We wanted to be sure that we had opportunities for all of our students, and they didn't have to pick or choose between activities because they might like something better or not have gotten access to it. And so we were really kind of intentional about that in these first few weeks. And also knowing that we have people trickling kind of into campus, moving in throughout that time. So we see those first 2 weeks as kind of just kind of getting everyone settled, getting things set, making sure that our students are getting into their physical spaces appropriately and safely, and kind of connecting there, getting set up, and then having these options available to them.
I love that you called it challenge by choice.
Right.
We oftentimes call it choose your own adventure in our
Right.
office. And so you really can craft your own experience of as many of these activities as you want
Right.
to do or as little, but oftentimes we have to remind students that you're going to get out of an experience what you put into it. And
Right.
so if you are choosing not to participate in these events, then you're also not going to get much out of that.
Right.
So that's another good reason for families to encourage their students to take that initiative and get involved.
Right. Families, please encourage them. They can never do too much, but there's also opportunities for them to engage in different ways. And some of the, as we move into kind of the week of the 16th on through the first day of classes, we start to kind of ramp up some of those experiences to our signature programming that we do each week of welcome, kind of offering over the years. And so I want to talk a little bit about some of those too, because these are things that we also know you're definitely going to want to encourage your student to connect to, and I think will be a part of kind of sealing in some of the importance of the pillars that we talked about earlier and kind of those engagement areas. And so one of the ways that we're going to kick that kind of those signature event series off is on the 17th. We will have what we are calling our WOW launch event, and that's kind of an evening event. It will happen from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. It will be through a virtual format. The virtual format does allow for allows for an environment where students can kind of jump in and out of different activities or things that are being hosted, just like you would go to a festival or a conference or an experience that had kind of multi activities going on. That launch event will be similarly kind of crafted, and we did that intentionally because we want it to be kind of we wanted to emulate kind of the exciting, engaging, kind of all over the place experience that we've had at our in-person events that were kickoffs as well. And so it will be It will happen virtually, but it will focus on both activities that they can participate in, but also include speakers from our different campus areas, like our SGA, um, some kind of seminal, experiences that happen on campus, and populations of students that students will want to connect with. And the platform is really neat because it breaks things out into kind of 4 zone areas. So there's an expo zone, which is kind of a new take on tabling. So they will have an offering of tabling activities in the expo zone. So folks can come into the expo zone and basically have virtual booths, and there will be actual people in those booths that they can talk to. They can pop in and they can be a part of a group talking to someone, just as you would come to an actual expo event, and there may be 3 people already there kind of having and chatting, and you would be able to see and hear what they're talking about. It works the exact same way, which I thought was really nice. So there'll be an expo going on that features kind of areas, people from campus who wanted to participate in that to kind of engage and talk to students. There's a networking zone. And so in the networking zone, this one's really neat because it allows for one-on-one interaction. And so in the networking zone, we will have specifically tailored networking hours. So one networking hour may be every student who's interested in leadership experiences on campus. And so they can pop into that and they will be connected with folks, either students or staff or people on campus that have expertise in those experiences. And the program actually automatically links them to one of those individuals based on the networking hour that is existing. And so they would actually be connected with another person, and there's a timer, and they have about 2 minutes. They can interact with that individual, kind of ask questions, talk about why networking is important, what that topic is for that particular networking hour. And then when that 2 minutes is up, as long as they stay in the networking zone, they'll be paired with another person. So they could stay in there for an hour and meet 15 or 20 people just back to back, almost like new age speed dating with no date. We're not promising any dates. So, but they may get one, I don't know, as parents, they may get one. So that's not really the intent, but it is an opportunity for them to kind of connect on a one-on-one basis, work, ask questions, and kind of, I think that, the thing I'll say about this experience is there will be certain aspects of it that will appeal to different types of personalities, which is similar to what we've experienced at most of our Week of Welcome events in person. You have some folks that don't like the crowd. They don't want to talk to 500 people at once, and they just, they zone in on one person and kind of talk one-on-one. And then you have some people that are like, I do not want to talk to a stranger one-on-one. I'd rather go to the expo and just kind of with a group see some things and activities. And so it'll lend itself to those different types of personality types, but also experiences that they would have both in person as well. And then the last kind of 2 areas that are part of it are the main stage and then sessions. The sessions will focus on activity-based things that students can kind of pop in at designated hours. So within the 5 to 9 p.m. time frame, there may be a session that says, from 5 to 6, we will have an artist drawing caricatures, and they can pop into that space and get their caricature drawn, and then it's digitally sent to them. In other spaces, it might just be a free-for-all, and they can just come in at any given time and interact with that session. And then the main stage is going to highlight kind of our big ticket things that are happening during the Week of Welcome experience. We have virtual performers coming in to do music performances. Again, we have kind of our campus kind of folks who are engaged in leadership experiences, opportunities coming in to speak to students. So it'll be kind of a whirlwind of all of those different activities happening. We're super excited about that. Xfinity, which is the service that a lot of our students will have in their residence hall rooms. for while they're on campus for their television and internet. We'll actually be sponsoring our kickoff event. And so with that will also come some nice swag and door prizes that we can give out. And so that's always been a huge part of Week of Welcome as well, kind of door prizes and things that we can give out. So that will happen too. So that's the kickoff. Lots of information there, but it's something that students will not want to miss. They will receive a invitation to join. And so it'll give them instructions on how to access the platform. If if they don't receive that email, they can also reach out to our office directly, but those will not be sent out until probably the week prior or somewhere close to that time frame, so that we make sure that everyone's prepped and ready to be able to have that experience along with us.
And that's another good reason that students should be checking their Crimson email account.
Exactly.
So that they don't miss out on any of these Weeks of Welcome events. It's great.
And then I just want to kind of go through, there's two more kind of signature things that you've probably heard about that will happen. One of them is our Script A experience. Our students have, for the past, it's a young tradition, but it is a tradition that has been really well received by our students. But past years, we've been able to allow our students to group together, come into Bryant-Denny Stadium and create a Script A. They essentially kind of create a band formation of the A, the big Alabama A. It's a great time. Students take the picture. And so for years to come, they're able to kind of find themselves in this big swath of folks in the Script A. And it's kind of just a commemorative experience for our incoming freshmen, specifically to kind of signify their start of their journey here at UA. That was something that has become really a staple of the experience for our incoming freshmen, and we really wanted to find a way in a safe manner to replicate that experience or have a similar kind of experience for our incoming students. And I'm really excited about a company that we'll be working with to do it, called Lustre. And essentially what will happen is we will do a very similar class photo, but in a digital format. The thing that's super kind of silver lining-ish to this is that students will be able to chronicle their journey from their move-in through Weeks of Welcome, through their first day of class, and possibly be included in this mosaic picture. And so essentially what happens is we have created a very specific class photo design of kind of iconic backgrounds on campus. This company takes that photo and they pixelate it in a kind of layman's terms way to say it. They pixelate it, and essentially every time a student shares a post or a picture via one of their social media platforms that they tag as UA Wow 2020, or if they don't have a public social media platform or they don't want to share their pictures through their social media, there'll be an upload feature on our website, and that will be tweeted out that students will have access to, and they will be able to upload personal photos, and those photos will be basically kind of evaluated and then placed into the mosaic in the place that works best for the photo that they submitted. Really fancy technology that I can't really explain to the best of my ability, but essentially they will submit their personal photos that will become a part of this larger mosaic picture that is a backdrop of iconic scenes from UA's campus. They will be the first class in history to do it virtually, and especially will be the first class to have the opportunity to upload personal shots. So my thing about the Script A, in one sense, you know, it's really cool because it's that experience of being in Bryant-Denny and kind of cooped up with a bunch of your peers, but I couldn't really see a person's face in that picture. In this version, it'll be electronic and virtual, and they will actually be able to find themselves. It can be a picture of them with their family at move-in. It can be a picture of uh, of them kind of going to the Ferguson Center for the first time, or the day that they got their bid from their sorority. So it's really going to be really fun to see all of those different kind of culminating experiences that our students are having from now until they get here, that they can upload, because they can also upload, you know, it could be a picture of them in the airplane on their way here. And so I'm really super excited about that, because I think it's going to be something that is really impactful. And the great part about it is the company is actually sending us the actual completed version of it, and we will be hanging that in our student union for the year and maybe for years to come, and just having that as kind of signifying that class and this unique opportunity that they got to have, that it's probably going to stand alone in history, but will be really neat and really impactful for them to be a part of and remember.
I just want to add, because I know that some families might and some students might immediately feel like they're missing out on the opportunity to get on the field at Bryant-Denny, but I just wanted to reassure them, not that this helps, but maybe will provide a salve, is that this year we were not going to be able to do script day on the field
Right.
anyway, due to construction at Bryant-Denny. And so while yes, it does look different, it was going to look different even
Right.
without our current circumstances. And so I just wanted to put that piece of information just so that families and students don't feel like they're missing out on that opportunity that in this context they weren't going to have anyway. Right. But that oftentimes we provide later down the line, further into their experience at UA, a different opportunity to potentially get on the field and take photos and those types of things. So
right, that will happen.
Yes.
We have senior send off that we do that hopefully that kind of becomes the bookend experience. And so yes. This is kind of the front side, and then they will eventually have that opportunity in some type of way, and we look forward to sharing that with them when it's safe and when we have access to that space. And so but
I just didn't want them to feel
this.
sad about it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
This is
family,
a
you get
totally
to be a part of this with your student this year. Bribe your student to let you take a picture with them, and you get to be in that moment as well. So we encourage you all to submit photos at different stages throughout this experience for you and your family.
And then will that mosaic be available for download for students to have a copy for themselves? I know you said that there will be one that hangs in the student center, but I want to make sure that they have that access too.
Yes, they will have access to download, and the neat thing about it is all of us will have access to see it as it's happening. Oh, so cool. That's also a really cool part of it. Like we'll be able to see it being built as students submit photos. So that's also a really cool part of it that you guys can look forward to, and we'll ensure that Kim and her team have that information if you as families want to kind of participate in that journey and kind of pop in and look as the mosaic is being created virtually.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And then kind of the last thing that I wanted to talk about is Get On Board Day is always a huge kind of staple experience that students really look forward to, because it introduces them to our 600 plus student organizations. It is really kind of that first opportunity for them to connect to those students in a way that helps kind of build that next layer of engagement with that group. And we really have over the years had kind of 3 things that we encourage students to do when they go to Get On Board Day, and we would not change those this year. Is 1, look for an opportunity or an engagement that takes you outside of your comfort zone. So you may have things that you've done for years that are part of who you are and things that you want to keep connected to, but you may have some new interests and ideas, and really just keep an open mind. With 600 plus groups, there's likely something that someone's been interested in that they never thought about being interested in, or that they see and think to themselves, oh, that sounds like something that I might want to know more about. And so we ask them to keep an open mind there. The second is to find an organization or activity that speaks to their future goals. So that could be something that's major specific, or profession specific. So maybe they're an arts major and they want to find something that connects them to that arts connection, or maybe they're a chemical engineer, aspiring chemical engineer, and they want to find a group that connects them to activities that would support that profession, that future professional goal. And so we really encourage students to do that as the second thing. And lastly, this was my personal list that I crafted, but something that we use as the office mantra is to also find something that grounds you to who you are. And I say that because a lot of our students come to college, and obviously we speak a lot about finding yourself. We speak a lot about you're going to have these new experiences that are going to take you outside your comfort zone. You're going to learn new things about yourself. But then there's things that just innately make us who we are. They ain't changing. They're going to be the same when they get here. If they're a morning person, they're probably still going to be a morning person in college. But if they're not, it's probably going to be reinforced that they're not in college. And so one of the ways that we ask students to do that is to think about what are the things that ground them. It could be a faith. It could be just a particular hobby or interest that they've had. Maybe they were maybe they had some type of hobby or thing that they were really involved in that is not their academic goal, but something that they've just enjoyed and they want to continue doing it. And so we ask students to kind of look for one of those things that really innately grounds them to who they are, reminds them of who they are as an individual and person and what they're bringing to the table that's also still very important to their experience. And so those are the three things. And they will get an opportunity to do that this year. We are expanding Get On Board Day to 2 days. So there will be a 26th and 27th from 5 to 9 p.m. where students can engage via our virtual platform. It will be the same platform that we use for the launch. And so they won't have to search for a new way to do it, but through that platform, they will be able to interact with student groups, connect one-on-one, but also connect in groups. And they'll have access to every table just like they would at a formal in-person kind of interactive engagement. The other neat thing about this opportunity though is that they'll have full access to be able to look at the different brochures and information that they receive from groups, because those will be in the system and platform in a digital format. And so unlike what happens at Get On Board Day, where we see a lot of them get lost or someone like stops to talk to someone, they put their bag down, and next thing you know, they've lost all of their interest sheets that they had, they'll have the opportunity to be able to continue to look at those. And it'll also give them a better connection to who to connect with once they've decided that that is a group that they want to engage with more. And it'll give them that option to be able to directly reach out to those groups in a way that is pretty seamless and allows for them to connect. So we're really excited about that. And that will kind of transform into the following week, which is not a part of the traditional traditional week of welcome, but the following week, having the opportunity to interact with those groups via their first meetings or things that they have that kind of start the business of those organizations. And so we will still have Get On Board Day on the 26th and 27th, and then we will kick off our Tide After Dark programming that Thursday evening, just like we would in person as well, with a virtual glow after party. And so super excited about that, and also giving students the same experiences that they've had with us in the past, but just in a new way. And actually one that I think will be very meaningful to them and one that they can really connect with.
That's great. Thank you so much for all those
Sure.
insights. And you already plugged the Tide After Dark series, and that will continue throughout the rest of the fall once Weeks of Welcome end. And so students can find information about the Tide After Dark series on the university programs website and by following university programs on social media. Families can do the same thing. It's a great way to kind of know what's going on campus, and you can then just message your student, hey, make sure you don't forget this is happening tonight, which is a great way to encourage your student, because they're on social media likely anyway, so you might as well.
Right.
Now, I don't know that you're allowed to be friends with them on social media, because sometimes there's a division, a good
Right.
boundary between family member and student.
Right.
But yes, so we don't want families to miss out on that Tide After Dark series. Lots of different activities and entertainment opportunities throughout the fall, for sure. Last few seconds together. Again, we greatly appreciate all of this great
Sure.
information and your time. But any last minute tips that you have for families or for students as far as their students approach engagement and involvement this fall?
I think that the biggest takeaway that we want you to have is kind of going back to what I said earlier, is making sure that we're encouraging the connections. Though they may look different, though there may be different varieties in which students can connect, it's very important that they find ways to make the opportunity available to themselves and push themselves to connect in those different ways. We don't know for how long, we will have to contend with the challenges that face us currently. What we do know, though, is that connection is a huge part of the experience for students. And so we're doing everything we can to ensure that we're being thoughtful about how we go about connecting and doing those things in ways that are useful to them, but also engaging. And so we're doing our part, and we just ask that they, consider doing their part as well by connecting, and we will meet them halfway. We will actually meet them more than halfway. We're gonna basically take them and pull them along with us. And we just encourage you as families to make sure that they know that, and that they're also understanding that while we are under some unique circumstances, that we're doing our best to provide both those virtual experiences, experiences in person where possible in small groups, and then also hybrid experiences, because we have some students who may want to make the choice or decision not to participate in small in-person things for health or personal reasons, and we want them to know that they're not left behind in this experience. And so they will still have that opportunity. Which brings me to my last plug that we didn't talk about earlier, but wanted to make y'all aware that one of the ways that we're doing that is through UP On Demand, which is a on-demand series that will run every other week throughout the fall semester and possibly even into the spring. But essentially, that on-demand series will offer students opportunities to connect with DIY activities. So they will be able to come and pick up supplies for DIY activities that they can do on their own, guest speakers and webinars, podcasts, kind of curated podcasts that have been suggested by our students and our team of students that are doing UP On Demand, and even celebrating some obscure national holidays, one of which my favorite is National French Fry Day. French fries are my absolute favorite thing in the world. So things
I
like
can
that
support
to
that.
kind of build community and connection through these other types of experiences that are a little different from what we've done in the past, but also still impactful in kind of creating connection. And so that series will kick off as well during Weeks of Welcome. And so they will have the opportunity to kind of see what those curated things are, and the curated list of activities will change every other week. And in those in-between weeks, our hope is to host in-person small events and programs in the student union during our Tide After Dark series. But of course, we will make sure that those are vetted, that we are cleared for those experiences as we do those, but it'll be a great opportunity to kind of balance both the virtual world and the in-person world. And lastly, I wanted to be sure you knew we were very intentional about platforms that we chose to host these things, because we know our students are going to be Zoomed out, they're going to be blackboarded out, and none of this stuff is happening likely on any of those platforms intentionally. We looked for things that would help us to be able to engage them more directly and closely with other activities, and there may be some Zoom formats at best, but We're trying to, as best as possible, kind of give them a different experience in their kind of academic engagement side than what they're getting in their classroom and academics.
That's great. Thank you for all of that great information. You can, and families can find the WOW calendar and information, the Tide After Dark, the UP On Demand once that's available,
Mm-hmm.
information, all of that information on University Programs website, which is
Correct.
up.ua.edu. So UP short for University Programs.ua.edu. Roz, thank you so much for your time and all of this great information. I am certain that that families will use it to encourage their student to get fully engaged this fall and take advantage of the wide variety of offerings that will be available. Thank you so much for your time. Families, thank you so much for tuning in, for watching, and as usual, if you have any additional questions or concerns, you can contact Parent and Family Programs at parents@ua.edu, and we're happy to answer those questions, or we can connect with Roz to get some additional information for you. But we thank you for joining us, and roll tide.
Roll Tide. Thank you.
Thank you.